High-speed internet is crucial for communications throughout the state of Michigan. Mackinac Center for Public Policy Vice President for Marketing and Communications, Jarrett Skorup, says COVID intensified the need for a high-quality connection in places like Traverse City.
It's not just getting online, gaming. It's now a lot of how people get their education. It's how a lot of people work. It's how people get medical. They can talk to their doctors online.
Several companies already provide high-speed internet in Traverse City and have done so since the early 2000s. Despite that, Traverse City decided to build out its own broadband network in 2016 through Traverse City Power and Light, which already provides electricity to the city.
So they said, well, let's just use this public entity and they can build out their own broadband network. And so they said, this isn't going to cost taxpayers any money. We're going to get a loan out, and we're going to then, we need a loan to start building a network, and as we build the network and add customers, that will pay back the loans, and then we'll be a profit-making public entity.
It didn't take long to realize the plan wasn't working. People were not signing up for the service in numbers they had been promised.
The network kind of got up and running in 2020. We're now 2023. There's still less than 25% of the customers have signed up. So they're not even close here, an extra 2 years after they said they were, to being close to breaking even. And they're projecting financially that they're not going to make money for years.
Traverse City resident Gerald DeGrazia knows all about the communication industry. He worked as a telecommunications coordinator for the city of Dearborn and worked in the private sector building fiber networks and had concerns about Traverse City's plan from the very beginning.
And I was surprised that the city felt that they needed to be their own provider of broadband services. Broadband services are very competitive. It takes a lot of money and capital to operate them. So I was surprised that the city would take such a high risk.
There have been numerous examples of municipally owned broadband networks failing across the country. Taxpayers in Provo, Utah spent $40 million to build a small and modest broadband network, only to sell it later for $1 to Google. The evidence was out there for Traverse City that this plan was not going to work.
Again, we're not in a rural area where there's no broadband. There are already competitors in the area, multiple competitors, and Charter Spectrum is one of the big ones. So Charter Spectrum, they're not just going to sit there and let a new competitor take their customers away.
DeGrazia, who predicted the failure of the project from the very beginning, spoke out at several public meetings against the plan.
The city now is not publishing customer numbers, but as we look at their financial statements, we can tell that they are not meeting their original projections, and the debt is building up, and it doesn't appear that there's an opportunity to repay that debt.
So where does Traverse City go from here? Do they shut down the project? Nope. They are moving ahead and plan on rolling it out to all residents.
If you only get 25% of what you projected downtown and 25% for the next and 25%, you're actually ratcheting up your costs.
DeGrazia said this project is destined for failure.
I think the CFO of Traverse City Light and Power has said, well, don't worry, we can pay back the debt with only a 4-cent increase in our electric rates per kilowatt hour. The problem with that is that 4 cents represents, at least for the residential services, about a 28% increase.
This is just yet another example of why Skorup says government needs to back away and let free enterprise take over.
If it's something offered in the yellow pages, it's something you can get and there's a couple of competitors, government shouldn't be doing it. Government should work with private providers to get what people need, and the state should not be subsidizing broadband in areas that already have it. They should spend that money in areas that do not have broadband to reach people who really need it.